Good afternoon, everyone. It's Lynda here from Banjo's Bead House with our weekly Facebook Live video. And today it's all things elastic. So one of the questions we get asked on a daily basis and several days, multiple times a day, is which elastic do I use? So people are either coming in with a broken piece that they've bought that's fallen apart, looking to repair it, or they just come in with the very vague question of, I've got some beads at home that I want to make into an elastic bracelet. What elastic do I need? So we run the juggernaut of trying to figure things out. So we thought we'd go through a video with you guys today on how we choose which elastic to use with different beads, and some that you may not think to use with elastic. So we're going to go through some of those selections today as a little bit of discussion for you. And then we'll be back with some fun stuff again next week once I get my head out of my Easter show piece. It was dropped off this morning, so my brain is finally free, and once I've got my photos edited, I will share them out to you guys so you can see the two pieces that I have submitted. So yes, but now all things elastic. So I'm going to tip you guys down and we'll take a look. So on the overhead, you're going to see a couple of different options of elasticity. This is the elastic range from Bead, which is what we carry in the shop. What I love about this elastic is that it is a solid piece of elastic. I might switch to the black so you can actually see it. It's one solid piece of elastic. It's not fibrous, so it's very easy just to pick up and thread straight onto. You don't need to use a needle, even though the Bead Along team have developed a needle to go with these guys. I don't tend to use one unless I'm using the 0.5 and working with really fine pearls. And that's only when I know I can get a double thickness through, would I venture into that territory. You'll see here there is three different sizes of elastic. There is the 0.5 mil, this is the finest. There is the 0.8 mil, and then there is the 1 mil. Comes in a variety of different lengths, all on rolls. So you can have 5 meters, you can go for 25 meters, you can go to the 100 meter roll, and then for some of our really serious customers, we have the 500 meter roll. And believe it or not, I've got one customer who goes through one of these about every 2 months. So, you know, there is some serious elastic making going on out there. So what do each of those look like? Well, this is 0.5 mil elastic. So this is the one I said I use with freshwater pearls because it is very, very fine, but it is nice and strong and stretchy, just like the others. In the black, so I pulled the black because it's nice and easy and it's the only colored one we have open. This is the 0.8. And then you've got the 1 mil, which you can see is nice and thick in the camera view. This is the 1 mil. So this one is particularly great if you're working with heavier stone pieces because it can take a bit more weight. But it is not about the weight with the beads. It is all about the hole size of the bead, and that is what determines what you can use each of the elastics for. So remember when I said freshwater pearls? These things are all hand drilled and have generally notoriously small holes, and unless you want to sit there and drill them out yourself, you typically, and because I've just gone and randomly pulled this one, it's probably going to work, you typically can't get beyond the surface tension a 1 mil elastic through. So I can't get that in anymore. I doubt I'll even get a 0.8 mil through it. Okay, on this one, of course, I got lucky. This is because I'm doing it on a video. Typically with a freshwater pearl, you are working with the 0.5, which will go through. This one being where it is with pearls, if you can get it through, again, I would recommend with light water pearls, try and do a second one because the holes are drilled from side to side, so there's often a rough patch in the middle, which is where it will cause an aggravation with most of your cords. But that's your challenge with freshwater pearls. So what would we use with other things? So as I said, for everything else, it's all down to the hole size in your bead. So on our website, where possible, we do have the hole size listed. It's usually in the subtitle. So when you open up the actual product page, you'll see that information, and where possible, I've written it into the description as well. That would help you guide to the elastic. If it's a 0.7 mil hole, generally you can get the 0.8 mil elastic through. Failing that, we have a lot of customers who bring their beads in and we'll test it with our shop samples of elastic to figure it out. But we thought we'd have a little play today with some bits and pieces. So I have been packing the rainbow box this afternoon, and this is some samples that are left over from it. So sneak peek, you by getting some fire polish in a mixture of different colors. So can I get through a check bead the 1 mil? That would be a no, but I am going to try both ends because sometimes you never know. And that's a no, and this is a 0.7, generally around a 0.7 mil hole for the fire polish. And as I said, with some of them you can get onto a 0.8, which we've just been able to do. So 0.8 is great for your fire polish. So this is a little faceted fire polish 4 mil, so easily fits onto your 0.8 elastic if you're going to strand some of those guys up. And then the most common one we get asked for a lot of at the moment is seed beads and shaped beads. So I'm going to play with the two most common ones we get asked for. So I've got tiller beads here. Now, tiller is the Miyuki, there is the tile beads, which are the check. The Miyuki, you are looking at pretty much the same across the tiller, the quarter tiller. So I've picked up the 0.8, which you can get through. The challenge you're going to have then is how do you create a nice neat hole. So for most of these customers, what I've actually recommended you do is go down to the 0.5, which I'll show you goes through nicely, and attempt to do the surgeon's knot finish on that to get a nice taut knot. The reason again to go down to the skinnier one is you might be able to drag the knot through the hole and back into the bead, and therefore you're hiding that knot. So you're giving a rather seamless experience when you're wearing it. So that was the tiller bead. And the other odd shapes we get asked a lot about is the super duos. So I thought I'd show you off some of the duet ones that have just come into the shop this week. And again, we'll start with the 1 mil. I'm always going to go thickest just because everyone finds it easier to thread. But that's a no. So we're going to go straight to the 8. So the typical presentation of using the super duos when you are stringing them up is super duo, little 11 seed bead, and then your next super duo. The duets would be kind of fun because you could partner a matching white on either side here and a matching black, or vice versa. Mix up your patterns and have some fun. Again, you could drop that to the 0.05 and see if you can get, sorry, the 0.5, see if you can get that knot small enough that you can pull it back through really, really easily. The other one that we're getting asked about is the ruler bead. So I'm going to start with the 0.8 because I did this today and I know the 1 doesn't go through it. So the 0.8 again easily goes through. So your check seed beads that you are hand stitching with, the 0.8 elastic will definitely go through. So if you wanted to make up, you know, a fun little stretch bracelet with some of your leftover 2-hole beads, definitely 0.8 elastic will work. If you want to get really sneaky and hide your knots really effectively without using a large hole bead, I would try the 0.5. Okay. Now on to seed beads. So we'll start at the tiny end. So we'll start with a 15. And yes, I have one customer who's actually done elastic bracelets using 15s. Personally, I only like working with these when I've got a needle, but it can be done. And you can see here that the elastic is actually thick enough. You can actually use it to directly pick up your beads. And the 0.5 definitely will pick up a size 15 seed bead. These are a gorgeous new color that's just landed. It's the gray luster. So we've got a customer working on a special project. So I've got all sorts of new gray shades in, and that was one of them. And these guys will not go on the 0.8. So if you are stringing anything with a size 15 on elastic, you are going to be using the 0.5. That is the thing with elastic. You need to work with the smallest hole size in your piece dictates your thickness of cord, and that goes for all your stitching projects. Same with your beading needles. If you're going to be using 15s and cords, you need to make sure it goes through your 15s, particularly if you're looking at multiple passes. Just things to be aware of. So I'm going to play next with a size 10 check seed beads. This is the Permalux. This is the chalk violet. So again, somebody had fun discovering these guys on the website, and we got all sorts of glorious colors in. I'm going to start with the 0.5, and that goes through without a problem. So again, you can see easily, well, semi-easily being able to use it as a needle and pick it up on its own. We'll switch to the 0.8 and see if I can replicate that experience for you guys. Oops, this one might have to be handheld to do it. And no, the 8 is not going to go through that. So for a 10 mil seed bead, you are on the 0.5 elastic as well. So you are at the skinny end. So definitely something to keep in mind. The next seed bead we're going to explore is a size 11. So this is a bright silver-lined raspberry transparent seed bead by Miyuki. Okay, so 0.5 through without a problem. Oops. And the 11 I can get on the 0.8. So if you're working with 11 as your smallest bead, you'll definitely be able to go with the 0.8. So that's that one. I'll just get these guys back into their tube. And then we'll go have fun with a size 8 seed bead. Okay, so this is another new color. This is the matte transparent emerald AB that came in earlier this week. So 0.5, which I know is going to go through, but we'll demo it anyway for you guys. A little harder to pick these guys straight up, but 0.5 is going through. The 0.8 through without a problem. And we'll just grab the 1 mil. Yep, and once you're above 0.8 as your smallest, you can use the 1 mil elastic. This is going to create a chunkier knot, so that's where you are going to have to keep in mind how you're actually creating your knots to then pick the elastic that you work with, particularly if you're only doing just size 8 seed beads. I'd probably use the 0.5 and go for a very, very skinny knot going through there. And in that case, you might want to consider doing a double strand. That's just things to think about and experiment with. This lastly, we're going to do a size 6. The little ones will go through it, so we'll just go show you guys the 1 mil, which is going to go through with absolute ease. And as you can see, size 6, you're probably even going to be able to get a double thickness of the 1 mil through. I said probably, and you can, if you really want to go be persistent with that, which I don't. I'm getting about halfway. It would take a bit of work, but I could. But you definitely get 8 through. So anything above a size 6 with its lovely large hole, you're going to be fine with using the 1 mil elastic and beyond that. So it's, as I said, it's not about the thickness necessarily. It's about the hole size. So everything comes down to the hole size when you're picking. So pick wisely and you will be fine when making elastic bracelets. There is a video on our website of how I tie mine off, so I'm not demonstrating that today. Done too many of them with repair work already today. So we have our preferred knot that we use with kids all the time. The back of the elasticity roll, there is a surgeon's knot demonstration. I can get that to work tying fire line without a problem. Try it with elastic and I can never get it to work. Don't know what it is. Sometimes you can get knots to work, sometimes you can't. With me, that one just doesn't work on elastic, so I go my particular method, which I've been doing for 11 years without a problem. So at this stage, what if it's not broke, don't fix it kind of attitude. But always open to seeing how people do it. And I do know there is other knot techniques, which is why we will always share that with you guys, but we have the particular way that we like to do things. So that's it for me for this week. I hope that helps explain a little bit about how to actually choose the elastic cord for your project. And as always, if you have any questions of things you'd like to see demonstrated or have walked through with different cords and things like that, just drop us a line and we'll do our best to work it into a Facebook Friday for you. Until next week, that's it for us. We'll see you then. Have a great creative weekend. Bye for now.